Hi, I'm Krystle. I've loved dolls since I was a child, and I never outgrew it. So, when I discovered Reborn dolls, my collection started to grow. There's Haley, Landon, Avery, Chloe, Shiloh, Grace, Jamie, Jeremy, Maya, Yuki, Savannah, and Ava. Along with collecting, I've been a Reborn artist since 2008. It isn't easy keeping up with my collection, but it sure is a lot of fun. Hey guys, so I'm here with a video to talk about a subject matter that was brought up a little while ago, and I meant to talk about it at that time, but then it was kind of brought about again over the last couple of days on DollFan. And I find it to be an interesting topic, and yeah, I just thought I would talk about it. So basically, when I was giving my, I guess, like, what was that video? I don't even remember what it was called, but it was where I was just basically, you know, giving like my final thoughts on the whole doll show experience and everything like that. And I had mentioned that, you know, one of the good things about going to a doll show like that is to be able to see the artist's work in person, because, you know, video, pictures, you know, it often can look quite different than in person. And so, you know, for me, you know, I've kind of come to learn that it's really good if you can see the artist's work in person before buying, because it just avoids being disappointed. And so, you know, it's so great because you get to look at all the details up close. You get to hold the dolls, feel the dolls, you know, get a real feel for what you like and don't like and what you want to add to your collection and, you know, things like that. So, you know, I had mentioned in my video that I was surprised by a couple of, you know, artists who, you know, I had admired their work online for quite a long time, and, you know, always drooled over the pictures of their babies and dreamed of one day owning one of their babies, even though it was probably not likely that I would, just because of the prices that they sell for were always way out of my budget. But I thought, you know, you never know, one day I might be able to. And I had said that when I saw their work in person, I was shocked to see how different they looked in person. And at the time, I did not mention any artists' names because, you know, I was afraid of upsetting people or causing drama or whatever. But, you know, a couple of people asked me in the comments, you know, who it was and stuff, because they thought it would be good to know who it was, so that they, you know that there's a possibility that if they ordered from this artist that they, you know, it would be quite different to the pictures. And so at the time I had meant to do like a video a couple days later on that subject and actually discuss who the artists are. But then, you know, I got busy and whatever, and I totally kind of like forgot about it. But, someone brought up on DollFan a video that Miss Serenity Smith had done, where she was discussing the doll show, and she was discussing basically the same thing that I had said about certain artists looking very different in person than the photographs of their work. And I heard it from quite a few people in the community, actually. And even when we were at the doll show talking in amongst ourselves in the lobby at night, a lot of us said the same thing. And so I got thinking about it, and I thought, you know, it seems like a lot of people felt the same way. And, you know, with that said, I think it's important to know who the artists are. And I will talk about them in a moment. But yeah, so basically this whole discussion has evolved on Dollfan where, you know, someone was found it very offensive. Miss Serenity Smith's video. They found it offensive. They thought that a lot of the comments on the video were offensive. They thought like some of the artists that had commented on it were jealous, spiteful, and just saying really mean and hurtful things. Now, I had seen the video prior to this being brought about on Dollfan, but I went and rewatched it just to refresh my memory. And I will say whatever she said in the video was basically, you know, how I felt and how many other people felt. And I really didn't feel like she said anything really all that harsh or hurtful or mean or spiteful. I think she was just voicing her opinion and how she felt about certain things that she saw at the show. And I think it's important for us to share these opinions because I know personally myself as a collector, I would like to have an informed, like I'd like to make informed decisions. These babies are not cheap. These dolls are expensive. They're an investment. And, you know, it's hard enough to take a risk, but you know, it's nice to have information presented so that you can make an informed decision on whether or not you are still going to go ahead and purchase a doll from this artist. And, you know, if you still go ahead and purchase and you end up disappointed, oh, well, at least, you know, you were forewarned or whatever. But, you know, it was just kind of made to be like everyone was being really mean. And really, I only saw 2 comments on her video that I thought was a little out of line. Because to me, you know, there's such a thing as criticism, you know, critiquing an artist's work. Just like someone would go to a gallery and look at a painting and critique it. You can do that in a constructive way without being hurtful. Just basically presenting your opinion and information. So it's just been kind of an ongoing discussion as to, you know, a lot of people were saying like, why is it that we are expected to be hush-hush in the community about being unhappy with an artist's work or, you know, giving our opinion when we've seen an artist's work in person. I don't feel like we should be quiet about stuff like that because, you know, when you're buying online, you're going strictly by photos. And if those photos are not accurately presenting or portraying what that baby looks like in person, then, you know, people should know that. So with that said, I know one of the artists that Miss Serenity Smith mentioned was Brooke Nicole. I believe that's the name, Brooke Nicole. Now, somehow I totally missed her booth, so I can't give any opinions on her work in person because I somehow completely missed her booth altogether. But the main one that really stood out to me was Sylvia's creations. I I still drool over her pictures on Instagram of her babies. I mean, they look amazing. Her photography is amazing. Everything, you know, hair, skin tone, everything looks to perfection in her photos. And for the longest time, I've admired her work and always dreamed of owning one. But when I saw the ones displayed at Bountiful Babies booth, it had the picture of the prototype of the Bountiful Baby kit done by Sylvia. And then right below it, they had the actual live like the prototype right there by Sylvia. And I was absolutely shocked to see them. I was like, wait a second, is this really the same doll that's in this photograph? It looked that different. It looked like a totally different doll by a different artist. The hair didn't look the same. And the skin tone was what really threw me. The babies looked very pale. And they looked like they hardly had any paint on them. It was really bizarre and it was really shocking. And so, yeah, I was just surprised to see that. So, yeah, so that was probably the main artist that stood out at me that was really different. And I know there was a couple of others that I saw, but I just can't remember their names to let you guys know. But that was really the one that stood out at me as being like very different. And a lot of other people felt the same way. I know like a lot of us together were like standing at that table looking at it going like, okay, this doesn't look like the same by the same person. Like it doesn't look the same as the picture. So I just think it's important for people to know that. Again, I mean, like there'll be lots of people who will still love her work regardless. And there's plenty of people who have her dolls and love them and are happy with them. And that's fine because everyone, you know, it's art, it's subjective, and everyone has like different tastes and stuff. So, but I don't know. I just don't think there's anything wrong in people voicing their opinions on stuff like that, especially when it was such a huge difference between the picture and the actual live prototype right there. Like, I just think it's important to know that so that if you're a first-time buyer of her work, you know, maybe you might want to think twice, like, about how different it looks from the picture, you know, like, it would be kind of disappointing for someone, I would think. Like, I know I personally would have been disappointed if I had bought one of her dolls and received it to see it like that in person. So I just thought it would be good to put that out there. So the other artist that I wanted to discuss at the show, now probably I would say the majority of people, I believe, know about this now, but I'm sure there are some that don't know about it, and I think it's very important to talk about, and that is Baby Klon. If you remember when I did my video from the show, there was a booth that had a baby that looked like Maleficent. They had mermaids, and they had an avatar baby in the competition as well as a mermaid in the competition, and they won an award for both of those. And they were all silicone dolls, and they are called Baby Klon, spelled C-L-O-N. Well, shortly after the show, it was brought to the attention of people as well as the show owners that Baby Klon has been taking pieces of various Reborn kits that have been sculpted by other artists, and they have been making molds of those Reborn pieces. and using them in their creations, and just essentially sculpting them together to create a different baby, probably in hopes that no one would notice, hey, that, you know, this limb looks like such and such a limb from such and such a kit. And so one of the main artists they had copied from was Eliza Marks, and there was several other artists that have come forward saying, hey, like, this is a limb from my kit, this is a face from my kit. Someone even identified a body on one of the dolls as being similar to a Bountiful Baby belly plate. And so it just looks like they just used some silicone to piece together these pieces, and then they might use a little bit of silicone to alter things here and there. But all in all, they are copying. And so a lot of people canceled their orders with them because, you know, when they found out they didn't want any part of it. And yeah, so I wanted to put that out there too. And it's interesting that they name themselves Baby Clone, because that sounds a lot like Baby Clone, and that's essentially what they're doing. They are cloning kits that are sculpted by other artists, and that's just wrong. It's stealing. And they had the audacity to basically laugh in the artist's faces. They, you know, said cruel things to the artists and collectors. They essentially called all of us collectors that were, you know, recognizing limbs and stuff from from Reborn kits. They were basically calling us stupid, that we didn't know what we were talking about. And there are pictures that have been posted on Dollfan as well as on Facebook under a scammer, like a group of doll scammers. And I mean, you can't disregard the evidence that's been provided by artists showing, you know, hey, this is a limb from my kit, and here's a limb from Baby Clone. And I mean, they are identical to the same posing of the fingers, the same creases, the same positioning of the arm. I mean, just a duplicate essentially. And so I just thought I would mention that too, and it's quite sad. And my understanding is their awards are being revoked, which, you know, I would hope so, because, you know, they've been stealing basically, and apparently they've been doing it from the get-go. So yeah, and then of course some people on Dollfan that, you know, were victims of this, that, you know, they bought a Baby Clone doll at the doll show not knowing about this. Now they are, you know, being victimized in a sense, because they are afraid to share their baby that they fell in love with at the show and bought, because, you know, they're afraid that they're going to be attacked for essentially supporting Baby Clone, which, you know, they were just innocent victims in this. They had no idea that they were, you know, no one knew. I mean, I fell in love with the Avatar baby, and later on, you know, when this was brought about, it was brought to the attention that one of the limbs on the Avatar baby is from an Eliza Marks kit. And, you know, thank God for people having good eyes to pick that up. But, you know, not everyone is going to be able to remember every single kit and limbs from those kits. And so it's just sad that now, you know, they've invested money in this doll. And, you know, if at some point they need to resell it, they may not be able to, because, you know, people won't want any part of owning a Baby Clone baby. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about, and I think that it's important that this information is put out there for everyone. I mean, not everyone is a member of Dolphin, where they can have access to these discussions and information. Another one is Tina Kiwi. I was completely unaware of a lot of the scamming that she has done. She has robbed people blind, apparently. I don't know the full story or all the details, but all I know is that people have ordered, I guess, kits from her and never received them. And, you know, she's taken a lot of money from a lot of people and not delivered, apparently. So that's another one. But yeah, so these are things that I don't think should be kept quiet. And I don't see why people on YouTube can't speak up about these things without being, you know, told that, oh, they're bashing or they're, you know, jealous. Like, jealous. I don't know where that came into play, that Miss Serenity Smith was jealous and that's why she made this video. And it's like, no, she's a collector, and she was just talking strictly as a consumer, in that, you know, there's dolls that she had considered buying, and once she saw them in person, she changed her mind. And I don't see that as being jealousy at all. That's just being honest. So, and it's information that I think people should be aware of so that they can make informed decisions. So anyways, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video, and hopefully I won't get any backlash for it. I think I, you know, did it in a constructive way, so hopefully, you know, but I mean, people will still love these artists anyway, and you know, that's fine, because everyone has their own taste. So even though I may not care for Sylvia's work in person, there will be lots of people who still do. So, and that's just the thing, like, everyone's different. So, and that's what makes this hobby so interesting and fun, is that everyone has their own taste. So yeah. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys. This miracle milk that Yvonne was talking about, and really it wasn't that expensive anyways. It was like, I think like $5, and then shipping was like, I don't know, $10 or something like that. And so I've already like tried it on a couple of bottles, and I like it. So this is Jeremy's bottle that he came with, and it had gone completely solid. And now the only thing is that it looks like some of the sealer that was on the nipple